So let's go to the demo. Are there any technical writers in the room? All right, so I'm sorry. So head of developer relations, that doesn't really mean anything when I'm a team of one. I don't have any technical writers working for me, and I don't have hours in the day to write docs. So I created an agent to do that for me. All right, so what I started with was a simple workspace called Docs Agent. And this was originally kind of a manual process where I would run an agent to review GitHub PRs and then identify if there were any changes that we made in the docs. I wanted to expand on that, so we have a tool called the Smith, which when you first log into Guild, it's literally the first thing you see. This is the Smith. And to get started on building this, I just went into it and told it, in the Docs Agent workspace, I want to set something up that allows for a webhook trigger to be fired remotely on each PR merge in GitHub. And just took it from there. There was a series of conversations back and forth, and then it came up with the roadmap, had some clarifying questions, walked through a few more steps, and at the end, it expanded the original Docs Agent workspace with additional agents, created a trigger, and created a context session for me to step into and pick it up where we left it off, right? We can zoom in here. All right, so this was the handoff orientation from the Smith. This was not me typing this. The Smith sent this as a context session. So it specifically told the agent in the workspace, do not call tools, inspect repositories, or do anything else. You're just picking up where we left off. It identified the agents that need to run, the PR doc impact agent, which checks pull request merges in our Guild core repo for documentation needs, and the documenter, which uses a hook and a Mentalify to make those changes. So it went through and set the workspace, walked me through setting that up, and then we get to the trigger. This was key. The first trigger was a webhook trigger. We're going to step to. All right. So this is the first webhook trigger. When a PR happens on, actually on any of our repos now, but specifically on the Guild code repo, GitHub will send a webhook back to Guild, letting us know that happened. This agent, this trigger for this agent, intercepts that call and then creates context around it to feed to the agent so it knows what to do. You just received a webhook from GitHub, the webhook is of the event pull request, and the action is closed. The payload is webhook payload. Process PR per your context. Once the last step has been taken, either confirming no changes needed or you successfully submitted a PR to Docs repo, close the active session. That's it. That's all the trigger has to do. Because all the important stuff is in the context. These are all the rules that the agents follow. And this is common for every agent in this workspace. They'll have a shared context, kind of like the context graph. It's a similar concept. This ensures all the agents are working in the same way on the same tools. But as you can see, it has some very specific requirements. We use something called gatekeeping. It's essentially our version of feature flags. So if something is gatekept and not exposed to the public, well, we're not going to put it in the docs, right? If it's not a customer-facing change, like minor tweaks or minor changes, that can go in the docs. But if updates are needed, then dispatch a documentation task to the documenter agent, which will actually construct those changes. So let's look at an actual session that happened earlier today. So this was the webhook. This was all the context for it, front-end rendering for the workspace membership notification, blah, 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 blah. So that came through, the agent processed it, reviewed it. No documentation updates are needed at this time. Explanation, this PR is part of the workspace members stack, specifically adding front-end rendering notification settings for workspace memberships. According to workflow guidelines, all changes must be verified against gatekeeping. The workspace members GK setting restricts workspace membership features and development. So, there's no PR, there's no docs update. So let's look at a different one where there was a docs update. This one, stack created with, this was a change to our, so we're implementing support for the Goose Asian framework from the Linux Foundation. This change was around how Goose interacts with Guild. Very minor change. It was literally just changing a word from, user prompt with the input field user prompt with text and JSON schema shape. Very minor change, but it affected documentation. So it created this pull request. Reading Goose recipe input field from user prompt to text. So it ran through, and where is, oh, that was, okay, sorry, this was close from being a duplicate, so the other one was like it. Okay, so, and again, I mentioned we use Mintify. One of the things I love about Mintify, two things really, that it treats docs as code so I can do stuff like this in the first place. But the fact that it auto-generates previews, so I can click through and find the change that was made and confirm. So in this case, it was under guide usage. So, oh, sorry, that preview is no longer good because the change was merged, but you get the idea. All right, so that's all great. Originally, every time this happened, it would fire a Slack message to our docs channel saying, hey, there's new PR. Yeah. That got very noisy very quickly. So we changed that up. We changed that to be a daily trigger instead. Because we support multiple kinds of triggers. We mentioned the webhook trigger for external calls into Guild. We also have cron triggers, where in this case, it runs daily, or weekdaily, at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Review the PRs that were open in the last 24 hours in the docs repo, send a summary report of them to the docs channel on Slack. In the summary include these bullet items: who's assigned, link to the original code PR that triggered the docs update, one-line summary of what the change comprises, bullet list of files in the docs repo. So that report comes through, and we get a nice little Slack message showing us these are all the PRs that came through today. So over the weekend, I closed out 130 stale PRs in the docs repo because we weren't keeping track of it. Yeah. There hasn't been a single stale PR since. We are aware of what the system is doing. We can actually interact with it, and we can take the necessary actions and not worry about stale docs ever again. That was my demo. So I've got some QR codes here. I've got my LinkedIn. I've got a QR code that goes to the app, like the one at the beginning, and then also a QR code for our Discord. I encourage you to join our Discord. Very active community. We'd love to connect with you and find out what you're building. Thank you.